I'm Brian Schulz, owner of Hot Fuss Films, and you are listening to the Pursue Vegas podcast.
The idea of Pursue Vegas was to really highlight the local people that really make Vegas, Vegas.
I love that aspect of how these visionaries are actually bringing people together.
When we hit record, our responsibility is to connect the people of our city so we can show the world who we really are. All right, welcome back to the Pursue Vegas podcast. I'm your host, Dave Berlin.
And I'm your co-host, Tawny Nguyen.
And we already know. Does he know? Should we tell him?
I don't know. Are you excited?
Yeah, it's up there.
Are you
We
ecstatic?
are
you
ecstatically excited.
I need to bring up the thesaurus next time.
He's neutrally
words
excited.
that Dave is not allowed to use.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how
My
creative
crutch
you can
words
get.
are excited, and I'm excited to. Just kidding.
The last time I saw you, you made a lot of progress.
We totally remixed that. That's great. No, so grateful to have Brian Schulz on the show today. Brian is a documentary cinematographer based right here in Las Vegas. He is a director. He's been featured on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Showtime, film festivals, and other popular viewing destinations. We're just going to dive right into this because he's got a very unique perspective, both visually and cinematically from what he's done here in Las Vegas. And I met Brian, gosh, it's been when I first moved here. I can't remember the exact event. I'm trying to place it. You do?
Yeah,
call me out on
What?
it.
Dave Berlin doesn't remember the date?
I know.
What
The
happened?
date.
It
What
was
happened?
something by Corner Bar Management, which has significant property in downtown on Fremont Street. And it's that corner spot right next to Evil.
That's what it was. It was Park on Fremont.
That's it.
And I want to do this. I'm going to do a shout out to the team over at Corner Bar Management because this just came up the other day. I need to have Mr. Mauricio, the marketing director, on the show. They are doing some phenomenal stuff. Sort of in the remnants of a lot of the energy that was encouraged by Tony Shea, Zappos, the Downtown Project. I know Ryan, the owner of all Corner Bar Management, was really good friends with Tony. But that's right, they were doing a pancake social.
Pancake and coffee.
Yeah, and they normally, Park on Fremont normally didn't open until like 11 a.m., which rightfully so. And they were like, hey, let's go at 8 a.m. Let's just see who the local people are. At the time, I was living downtown, like deep downtown, 13th and Carson. Do not go there unless you
That's
have
why
a
Park for
weapon.
Life is beautiful.
Yeah.
And it is not.
Yeah.
It is not nice.
Well, it's funny because right there at Public Us, I call that the lateral limit. And then as soon as I would pass that to go home, like I would have to like change my whole demeanor.
I know that exact spot.
I got to throw the flag on that. I know we're coming out of football season, but I got to throw the flag on that.
Dude,
Like, I'm from New York City.
yeah,
It's like,
that's
come
a little
on.
bit different.
Come on.
I'm sorry, we're so entitled here.
12th and Maryland is like, you know, it's like Brooklyn
me at
Heights.
DC.
Yeah, it was a little rough. Which it was a little rough for me, right? It's like, hey, you got $1? I'm like, what? You got $1?
I'm gonna use my tits card on this, so
It's not safe. Yes, it's definitely not safe.
You're tough. I can see you throwing
yeah.
some punches.
No, that's right, and it's so funny because we had ran into each other a couple times, and then I remember after the pandemic, I saw one of your videos where you really captured just a totally different version of what most people see Las Vegas. So when we've reconnected again more recently, couldn't wait to have you on the show. But man, tell us about you. Tell us about what you're excited about.
Oh man, I'm all in on Vegas. I love what's going on in this city. I love the camaraderie. I love the energy. It's, you know, I think Vegas you would consider like a mid-level city in terms of population and the variance of industries that the city offers. You know, you get your big players like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. And I think Vegas slots right in with like a Boston, a Dallas, you know, Vegas, San Francisco even. So there's so much opportunity out here, and it's just so untapped. Alluding to your 12th and Carson, you know, I'm from New York City.
Yeah.
So when I first moved out here in 2018, friends and family was like, first, where are you moving to? I'm like, going to Vegas. I'm like, okay, why? I'm like, you have all your client base out here in New York and everything. So for me, I was just looking for a change. And, you know, Vegas just sort of has this I think maybe a city like Austin has popularized it, or even like in Nashville. I think those are on the same level playing field as as a Vegas. I think Vegas is probably actually bigger than those cities, but it just has that, especially downtown. And going back to my point about where you're living and like why you're not living in the country or on a ranch or seeing the mountains. If you're going to take that chance and do something different, why not live, differently? I'm like, I just always been a downtown guy.
Yeah,
I like corners. I like being able to walk to a coffee shop.
Yeah,
I do well in social environments. I want to be out there, and not to say the suburbs doesn't offer that, and this is in the suburbs. You guys are in the suburbs.
Absolutely.
I passed a couple Lululemons.
Yeah.
I saw a Whole Foods, a Home Goods.
Right.
So
that's how you know you're safe.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the suburbs. I appreciate it. It's great.
We won't take you too much into
only 418 paces from Trader Joe's.
Boom! I have to go there after this.
You want to walk
Two
over there
birds with one
together?
stone.
Well, so first of all, I need to defend myself. You said 12th and Carson. It was 13th and Carson, and that is a very
one block makes a lot.
It's that big empty lot, and trust me, anybody that drives by it now, if they're listening to the show and driving by it right now, please be careful. No, it's like there is a
who hurt you down there?
There's a limit right there. But no, I appreciate you saying that because there's elements of every community where I think all the different cities that you mentioned, they all have a very clear advantage of where they are further ahead in the game of the United States or even in the game of the world. What's interesting about Vegas is that has changed. And I talked to somebody the other day. It's really fascinating because somebody was talking about when the Tropicana blew up. And it's like the cool thing about this city is you can always, almost like Etch-a-Sketch, you could just start over. If something doesn't work for any long period of time,
blow it up.
You just blow it up and rebuild. But that's from a very literal sense. But when you talk about, and I got to see this transformation happen, I moved here the end of 2018. I lived at 13th and Carson, right? But what was interesting is it wasn't very much later. Here we are. We're coming up on 5 years as the anniversary for when the pandemic struck. And that changed this city forever. Now, I have a lot of people that hate me for even trying to compare this, but a lot of people try to compare 2020 to 2008. While I wasn't here in 2008, I know it was bad because people remind me of that. But the casinos weren't closed. It wasn't like boards on the windows. It wasn't completely closed up. And the Strip was not a free-for-all where you could literally, I remember my friend Caitlin, she was like longboarding just down the Strip, and there's just not a soul in sight.
Did some biking down that. That was a great time.
For that.
Not for other instances.
But talk about a major reset button, because it really did test the city as a whole. It tested our economic infrastructure as a whole. And we are resilient, not just as a city, but as individuals. And I think you've seen the renaissance happen since then, especially with sports, and how that has all come back full circle. So, man,
sports has always been a part of the city.
Yep.
I mean, even from the early days. And I think, you think about UNLV and their run in the early 90s. And even before that, you think of boxing. Boxing is ingrained in the city. I just did a shoot at Top Rank. That gym has been around since 1988.
Oh, wow.
It was originally built, it was built in 87, and it was built as a training ground for the 88 Olympics.
Oh, wow.
That were in Korea that year. And they're celebrating, they have a big anniversary coming up, and it's nondescript. It's in the shadows of the Strip. It's on the Dean Martin side of 15. And now, so you always had boxing, you always had gambling. Gambling is, it's Vegas. So you always had that sports correlation. But now you have the Raiders here, and you got the Golden Knights here, and you got the A's coming here in 2028.
Allegedly.
And it's allegedly. And
I'm just kidding.
And it's so funny because I worked out. It could be a different team because Vegas is a fickle bunch.
Yeah, right.
If you're not grown from Vegas, what want to do with you?
Yeah. Unless
you're the NFL, because anybody will take the NFL.
Yeah.
But it's funny that basketball is the last one to be here because they hosted an all-star game here.
Yeah.
In 08 or 07, and you would have thought, forward thinking, because baseball tends to be on the conservative side. I worked at baseball for 16 years, and they sort of just lie in the weeds and what's everybody else, okay, we'll go there, we'll do this. The Burger King, McDonald's model, what I've noticed. And it's funny that basketball now would probably be the fourth sport, whenever that happens. And we're hoping it goes on the north side of the strip.
Right.
Because that'd be really close to me.
Right.
I love it. Being a downtown guy and being selfish.
I love that.
Yeah, right by the Fontainebleau. If it happens like right in that little area, whoever,
Are you putting the message out in the universe?
Yeah,
right now?
whoever wants to.
We'll send them directly
that
to
lot is
whoever.
there. Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's funny that you look at that, right? Because now I was just on the strip the other day at Veer Tower, and I was looking out, and it's like you see these empty lots, and you could just make it up. It's so funny because I could see where the rooftop across from, across from Aria, that's where they're going to have the world's largest In-N-Out, right? And I was like, oh, the world's largest In-N-Out's going there. And then somebody's like, oh, what's going there in the big empty lot? And you could literally just make it up, but it's a crapshoot. You could be right. It's like, oh, it could be, the world's largest boot store.
Do
and
they
it
have
would
those
probably
options
fly
on
here.
the sports betting ticket? We should probably.
Ooh, we
A
should
real
make
estate
that.
betting ticket? You want to make
Yeah.
that a real? That would be a
Yeah.
bad thing.
Instead of fantasy football,
I
let's
would
do a
fantasize
fantasy
about
Las
real
Vegas.
estate.
Yeah.
Pick your favorite real estate
Exactly.
developer, Yeah.
It's like
Oh
the
my
sit-
God,
yeah.
we can start our own parlay.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, finally a sports.
The Pursue
betting I can
Vegas
get.
app? Is that a thing? Did we just create a video game?
Yeah. I like it.
If you gamify anything, I
That's
I
right.
think we have a chance at winning.
Yeah, right?
Good point.
Because we are in a culture of like music and like entertainment, and with the lots that we're talking about, kind of like on the west side, where Hollywood 2.0, they haven't confirmed the lots, but I went to see a couple of them, and they're kind of waiting for whoever it is to sign the dotted lines. And those lots are amazing, like next to Blackfire. I always call
Yeah.
it Blackbird. I don't know why.
Yeah.
There's a piece of my brain that goes Blackbird, Blackfire, and then
Which is a great
on-
guitar player, by the way.
on the other side of Summerlin, so I've been kind of like expanding my understanding of how land development works here. So with your background in film and moving here from the East Coast, do you feel like it's in alignment to you for your career growth? And I know you're very much into sports and film
Sure.
and all of the things that makes Vegas, the future of the next decade of Vegas is going to be huge. Like, what do you see?
Well, in my industry, it's stuff that's already in the news. Is it Sony that has a partnership with UNLV? Someone has a partnership with UNLV to partner with an higher educational center of learning and bring modalities of filmmaking and mass communication to their students, and that's supposed to be happening I guess in the southwest corner, and then you have what's going on out in Summerlin. So
Supposedly Warner Brothers. Supposedly.
that's right.
Allegedly.
Is the Warner Brothers
Yeah.
UNLV one? I can't keep track of who's the who.
We're not sure.
We're not sure. So someone will put in the comments.
Yeah.
Guys, that's your job. Put in the comments.
Please correct us.
Yeah,
We
please.
stand to be corrected.
Clearly, I don't know what. But there's so much going on in the city, you can't keep up with
Someone
it.
downtown is working on a partnership with Universal Studios to bring more
Downtown.
attractions
Yeah.
here to downtown. He's going to come on the show and hopefully talk about that.
Is that the-
Unless his lawyers tell him not to, then I can't
Is
control
that the
that.
rumor I've heard about the llama lot? Oh.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. We call that
Dun, dun,
we call that a
dun,
tease.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
television.
Speaking of teas, like I know that you've put together a phenomenal reel.
Yeah.
Like I think it makes sense. We got to show that to add some context, right?
73 seconds. It's consumable.
73 seconds.
You're
Best
not going to
30
be
seconds
bored.
of my life.
73. Well, the first 30.
Oh, damn, I heard 30.
Maybe after the first,
I heard 37.
well, after the first 30,
I'm
you can check
dyslexic
out.
as hell.
But if we could hold you on for another 43 seconds, we love to have your viewership, Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, really. So only an extra 43.
if you got me for 73, I don't know.
But that's the whole thing. Like
Reels usually lose me about 8
well,
and a half seconds.
it's a reel, and it's it's publicizing yourself and your work, and you're sending it to some high level, and no one has the time. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see some reels out there and whatever, they're like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's like it's not a lot of time, but
Yeah.
after a while, it's like okay, I've seen enough. So hopefully, I feel like 73 is a good sweet spot.
I think you do a brilliant job in grabbing people in the first 5 seconds, which is great. So
Yeah.
since this is we're going to test this out, we have to go back to go forward. We have to go back. So we're going to go back to Wayne's World, and we're going to go in 5, 4, 3. And we're back.
Dramatic pause.
Dramatic pause. Man, that's brilliant. I love you. Congratulations.
What were you standing out of that? That's a crazy shot at the end.
Oh, it's just a drone.
Oh, I was like, what lot?
Robots. Just a robot
You
shot.
can find any 12-year-old or any grammar school kid.
I'm like, were you at the lot on top of McDonald's?
Shout out to Juan Quinones.
Yeah.
Right? No, that's brilliant. You have a very unique eye to capture what we always talk about here is like the best marketing is the truth. And I could feel just a different version of that truth through what you show there. And it's like it's kind of that behind the scenes of what is possible. Especially in probably anywhere, but I think there's this remarkable energy around of what's possible here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, when you say truthful, that's one of the cornerstones that I always try to build my reputation around. I did a documentary about the Flint water crisis in 2016, and it was a very sensitive subject. And you're coming into people's lives that there's something that we could relate to in Vegas. The absence of water and what that means to people. So it was a mission to go out there and just sort of portray myself as honestly as I could and find 3 unique characters. Working with professional athletes, there's a lot of trust built in there, with the organization, the league, and themselves. Last year I was embedded with Davante Adams, the former wide receiver of the Las Vegas Raiders. It was for a Netflix show with NFL Films, and they're one of my clients, and they recognize a trustworthiness with Brian, and then Davante and his family, and bringing the crew into his house and stuff like that. So, trustworthy is a big, in filmmaking is a big. Something you want to be a part of. So, and I just try to tell authentic stories. I don't know, man. I look at what's out there and I look at other marketing, and you look at the Strip, and some of the stuff you see out there is just, I don't know, it's kind of kitschy, or it's just like is there a way, and it could be funny. It doesn't have to be serious. It could be obviously it's a jovial city and people come here for a release, and you feel all the emotions in Vegas. The bad ones, or maybe when you lose lose at the roulette table, and the good ones because you're around people you haven't seen in a while. And it's a great place just to socialize and leave whatever's in your previous world for these 4 days. So.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that when we started this show, the essence of Pursue Vegas is come here, play here, stay here. So the difference isn't just can you come and have a great time? The answer is yes. Like we can show that, and anyone can show that on their reels. They can show I had this poppy steak where sparklers come out. You can show that. It's a little bit harder to help people understand what it's really like to build here, what it's like to move here from somewhere else, what it's like to start a family here or grow a business here. So that's really been the reason why we started this show. I'd love for you to explain, because I know you came from New York City, what essentially what was it that made you choose Vegas, and how long have you been here now?
So I got here in August of 2018, and I had a buddy,
right before me.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that was literally I got here in November.
Yeah,
so
I had a buddy living out here, a buddy from high school. He had made some different stops along the way from New York City. He worked with the Buccaneers in Tampa, and then he moved out here to work with the Vegas Knights. He's now in Scottsdale. He moved last year with his family, but he just said, "Why don't you come out in 2017?" And I didn't know Vegas wasn't on my map of places I wanted to go. But my good buddy, who I've known since 13 years old, was out here, and I said, "Let's do it." And then, like 3 days into the trip, I'm like, it's pretty good living out here, because I think it's always the same thing. It's like Vegas. Where do you live, on the Strip? It's like the running joke. Like no, there's this
which
city,
hotel do you live in?
Right, this city of 2 million people. It's huge, and we all couldn't fit on the Strip if we tried. It'd be like living in New York City, actually.
Right.
But
stacked on top of each other.
We don't want that because we're
beds.
making the move in 2018. So we're looking for something different. So it was just, and I said, we're out here, Brian. Come on out. You know people out here now, and Yeah, I found a place on Fremont Street. It was then called Fremont 9. I think it's now called the Eli.
Oh, yeah.
Right by Atomic Liquors.
That's actually shout out to some fellow friends of the show, Taylor and Tyler. That's where their studio's at. So
they did mention Atomic Liquor and how I've been in a hole and not been in downtown.
She doesn't even know what that is.
It's like one of the oldest bars in Vegas, I believe.
It is the oldest.
And interesting enough, I was staring at it one day, and their address is 917. And 917 is the OG cell phone or the OG area code for New York City.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I was looking at it one. Like 212 was the beginning and 718 and then 917. And now people in Vegas that aren't from Vegas, maybe from the East Coast, they see the 917. Like, whoa, how did you get that? I didn't know 917 is a thing if you're in New York City. So,
wow.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Shout out to Atomic Liquor, though. Good address, guys. You
Good address.
Nailed it.
He's like, you got me. No, I think in the city of like noise and just saturation and everything, and there's an opportunity for everyone to like come in, build a new business, and a lot of things kind of fade, right? Because there's people come in, it's kind of like a flash in the pan. They make a big noise for a short amount of time, and they're good for a short amount of time. But I think to us locals, after we've been here for a while, we know that those things don't really last. And I think for me, like to ask you as a creative person, and that's like capturing the reality of what people live like here, like how do you stay connected to like the essence of who you are, and how do you cut away from like all the noise and the distractions to really focus on like what your actual vision is?
Yeah, that's a great question. There is a lot of noise in the city and a lot of distraction, but there's distractions everywhere you look. I mean, in any city, you're always going to find something that's going to tug at your heartstrings or curiosity, and you have to make time for yourself. I think a schedule is good. Dave, you're in the military, so I bet your schedule, like you're probably on top of it, right?
It can be.
Can be.
It can be.
It can be.
It can be.
We're supposed to start this an hour ago.
Some days are a little more chaos than
That
others.
is subjective,
Right.
depending on which day you talk to them.
Well, it's good having a routine. I think that's something that professional sports teaches you about. I worked at Major League Baseball for 16 years, and granted, these guys make a lot of money. But at one time, it like really dawned on me, like from April to October, especially in baseball, where it's an everyday sport, 162 games. It's just, if you're at home, it's the same thing. You wake up, you eat. Maybe you take care of a little bit of business. You're in the car by 1 o'clock. You're at the ballpark by 1:30. You stretch. You batting practice. You eat. It's game, rinse and repeat. For 6 months. So I mean, it's proven that routines are good for us. And vacations are good as well, because also we need a break from our routine. So I think that's how I try to keep a routine. I try to get to the gym in the morning. I know I don't do well at the gym like at 5 in the afternoon. Get it out. I try to get stuff out of the way early. Anything that I could get out of the way early, whether it's phone calls to family members, keeping in touch, work. Well, obviously work is throughout the whole day, but like the gym or stuff that I want to do for myself, for Brian, I try to get that out of the way. So I know taking care of myself before I take care of anybody else.
Yeah, I run into that too. I've recently, because of scheduling and trying to get other things done, I've realized my time that I have the most energy is in the morning. I've missed the gym, but then there's some days where I'm like, well, I still want to get one in, and I'll go in the evening, and it just like go home and I'm just dead to the world, and I wake up just exhausted. So it is interesting trying to find that balance. The best part is we have access to so much here in Las Vegas as far as, health, gyms. Like we really can't, like anyone can change. We don't have a lot of the barriers that other places might have. So you can jump into a yoga routine if that's your thing. I don't know, what's your thing? You say
I'm sort
gym?
of getting into the gym is good. I'm sort of getting into LED saunas.
Nice. Very cool.
Get a good sweat. We have none downtown, so we don't have a lot. It's funny. We don't have a lot downtown. We don't have a lot in terms of great bars, great art galleries, great restaurants. I mean, I think that's what we do really well, but oh man, could we use a grocery store?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think it was designed for quality of life, like the lifestyle of actually living downtown. It was more created towards art and creativity and entertainment.
Great, but we have to eat.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there's a
I
lot
don't
of,
want
like,
to come out to.
Yeah.
there's only so many restaurants you can eat, you know, like Esther's Kitchen. Like everything's
Oh,
great
yeah.
until you can't be dining out every single night.
Well, that's why we need. I would love to have a grocery store that I could get to, you know, outside of a Smith's, which is good and everything. But sometimes you want, like, what's the new one? Is it Irwin?
Trader Joe's?
Well, no,
Irwin?
is that coming out? There's something. No, there's another one. Not Irwin's the fancy one in LA.
Yeah.
So it's not Irwin because I don't think we're fancy.
Trader
enough to know.
Joe's?
Trader Joe's would be nice. Trader Joe's. Putting it out there.
Say it 3 times and they'll sponsor us.
Did we say Trader Joe's?
I think we did. Trader Joe's. Or it'd be nice to have, you know, something like that where it's walkable or you can take your bike or whatever.
I think that's coming up because I think I drove past downtown. You see all the buildings kind of coming up, like the Midtown and all the areas right there by the World Market Center.
Symphony Park.
Symphony Park is coming up. And for me, you know, I geek out on real estate. So like driving, looking at land and looking at development and talking to people about who owns those pockets and the investment opportunities. That's like what I kind of do for fun is like data is one thing and then me driving around like, like, look at that. Like that wasn't there before.
Well, yeah, Symphony Park has those new luxury apartments going up. And you know the bomb's going to be real estate.
Sure.
Commercial.
Oh, yeah.
So those people have to, you know, eat. And then look at what's going on in the Arts District with those new buildings. You know, one across from the Good Wolf on Commerce Street. The other one's by Esther's Kitchen. I mean, it's like going to be like 900 people eventually living downtown after November of 2025. So that's exciting.
No, I think it's great. Well, and here's what's really interesting too is you have all this opportunity. Well, even you mentioned because you live in the Ellie. Like I think I knew people that had commercial real estate on that bottom floor, and I guess it wasn't zoned properly for that. So now those are all like vacant.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Oh yeah, there you go. Let's talk. I get 40%.
Damn.
No, I'm just kidding. It's 45. It's 45%. No, here's what's interesting, right? And we're starting to see this trend happen. I'd love your perspective. One being someone who lives here, someone who moved here, but also the future of what we're starting to see with Hollywood 2.0 coming and all those things. What we're already starting to see is a natural fallout of all of these podcast studios popping up, right? And even there's a fun story, the Uncommons over in Southwest, right? I was there when one of their venues opened up probably a year and a half ago, right? It was cold outside. That's all I remember.
What was it called?
The Assembly. The Assembly. Right? And so the Uncommons, fantastic place. We were talking to the developer of the property and the GM of the whole property. And I was like, what are you excited about? Man, they just went on and on and on and on. And it was like all the vision that they had for everything. I was like, that's great. Where does the podcast studio go? And they just looked at each other and it was like, oh, like we didn't even think of that. Now they're coming in with the new co-working space, the Kiln. And it does have a podcast studio, and you're starting to see a lot more podcast studios pop up on properties. Like I always say, Elysian. You know, Elysian's a great network of properties here. You're already starting to see some of these really high-level apartment complex condos clear out a unit and create a podcast studio because it's going to bring a lot more content creators. So as we really shift into the next phase of what Las Vegas is becoming, what's your prediction for how you see content, video production, movie production, all of those things? What do you see that evolution look like?
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, I think if you look at a big level, you see that we're in a creator's economy. You know, TikTok has spurned that, and you know, Instagram, and you know, YouTube. Everybody has pages and content they're looking to push. So it's a creator's economy. So if you're not opening up a podcast studio, you're sort of behind the 8 ball.
Sure.
You know, and you know, you can open that modestly. It doesn't take a huge, like you're building a Warner Brothers lot or something. This is something that,
Universal.
someone with a vision, with a vision can operate in. And then, a lot of people work from home and everything. So it makes sense. We're in a room that's 15 by 15. It doesn't take a lot of precious real estate. It's just, and you have to be competitive as a real estate developer.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know we also have a pot? And that might bring in,
But I think the collaborative effort is like, if you can get the piece of real estate, doesn't mean you have the creative eye to do lighting well. And like the production value behind like what a creative does versus what a developer does, which is they're good at getting the piece of land, they're getting at the structural build of things on the infrastructure side. But if they step in it, it's still going to be an empty room with sound bouncing and light just murdering people in there, you know? So they still need kind of like that effort from people like yourself that could recognize, like, this is what we do in this room.
Right. And guys like yourselves that are bringing the energy and, you're bringing a different take on Vegas, which I think is amazing. You guys are doing a great job and you're killing it out there. It's all about a vision, Are we doing something that's different? Have we talked to, are we going to do, is our theme going to be something that's been replicated before? It's just kind of tired. Do we want something different? Because you guys are like tastemakers. You're bringing things to the city that people just don't know about or recognize. And there's so much stuff in Vegas that's yet to be unearthed. I don't know how much we want to dig, though, but you know what I'm saying. Deeper. Well, it's Vegas. A lot of stuff that's buried deep. But, that's what I was going with.
Right next to the bodies.
Dig into Vegas, but it's not too deep. Exactly. Yeah. But no, there's a lot to be unearthed here, and it's an old city, but it has a new, young, creative vibe, and it's all about attracting recent college grads. You look at cities like Chicago, and Chicago is a great city that works like for the Big Ten and all the the Michigan States, Indiana, Illinois, all those big monolithic state-run universities that are amazing centers of higher education, Wisconsin, Minnesota. A lot of those kids gravitate to Chicago because it's a city of commerce. So the same thing out here. Vegas could just start attracting, it's a great start. You have UNLV, obviously, but then you have schools that are not too far from here, like UCLA and USC and, Arizona and Arizona State and, Utah. So they're regionally, Vegas seems, and it's a relatively cheap city to live in. No state income tax, kind to businesses, a 3-city economy. It's not huge. Although I love to see the money go in other areas like education. That's a whole other. I think the state could do better in that. But what they've done so far is it's quite amazing, and it's only growing more.
I think it's come down to entrepreneurs in the city too. Those are the communities like leaders, kind of like the ones that we talk to, that has their certain challenges and frustrations. The same with you, like in certain pockets, like education, healthcare is probably the top 2 that we've heard the leaders in this city. It's like, hey, like we kind of had to take the lead on ourselves and kind of lead other people in our community out of certain pockets that the government can't take care of us. And even with I'm a hardcore capitalist, at its core, right? But with all these podcast studios, sure, like 50 can come up, but how many is actually going to last? Because it is such a relationship town that I've seen a lot of people just churn and burn their way through this town and just kind of like, I have a business model, pump people in and just burn them real fast, and then like they're never going to last in this town.
Right.
You're right. I think with anything that's a fast-growing trend, you're always going to have the mass market that runs towards it. Immediately, you're going to figure out who the top 20% are that are going to lead that part of the industry. Then you have the bottom 20% that are just literally bottom feeders, and then you have that middle, right? What's interesting is, I think, to speak to this industry specifically in film, television, podcasting, content creation, what do you see as the biggest challenge that's in the near future for Las Vegas? And what do you see as the biggest opportunity as we go through this evolution together?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, there's a lot of opportunity out there. Whether you want to get into marketing and maybe, you're into hospitality and it's a strip, or you're into sports. I didn't mention UFC. They have a strong footprint here, and there's lots of content available there. And then obviously with the major studios coming here, which is also going to bring an influx of people in, and are we ready for that? Is the infrastructure here? And because you have to have infrastructure like education and healthcare and all that. I remember going back to New York City, if you wanted to build a sky rise, you had to add a school, and if there wasn't a hospital nearby, you had to build a hospital. It was like one of the things. Yeah.
Wow.
Because you're getting 40-story, you might have, 3,500 people living.
Yeah.
And that's just, on a square.
That's a whole ecosystem of human beings.
So you need to be prepared for that. So, I'm big, I like to follow local politics, as I might be dating myself here, but a wise congressman from Massachusetts. He was a former Speaker of the House back before, I was young, Tip O'Neill. And he used to say all politics is local.
Yeah.
So I think it starts with, I like to see more of our city government. I would love I'm really bullish, give me that, Masters in Public, MP, Masters in Public Administration. I want that person from that young kid from Stanford or, University of Virginia, public policy, that's it, a Masters in Public Policy. Just come out here and have a vision. I think we've done okay on the city level, but I like to see us, because as the city's progressing, hey, the Goodmans were great. They got us started. But now it's like sports. We're competitive. How do we made one free agent acquisition, we made another. How are we building our farm system? Who's the next people that are going to lead us beyond the great foundation that the city has been built on by people like the Goodmans and Shelley Berkeley, that's now the mayor here. Who is that next individual that we probably don't know right now? And that person's not here. But that goes into a lot, into my ecosystem of being, a director and a cinematographer and being able to tell stories. Because, I want to stay in Vegas as long as I can. I just want to make sure the infrastructure's there.
I love that, and thanks for sharing it. And this is something that I did not get approval from with my fabulous co-host here, but in a way, we've started to create this podcast almost as a manifesting podcast.
Yeah.
It's like there's all of this incredible stuff that we have access to. Wish list, just putting you on the spot here with all of the things you mentioned. UFC, which has a big presence here. I know you have some different people that you would love to interview, or you would love to create, content and documentaries around and stuff like that. But if you could wave that magic wand, who are the people that you would love to get in front of and capture the essence of who they are and what they're doing in this community and beyond?
Right. Well, one person I love to work with, and I grew up a big tennis fan in New York City. Do you guys
you look like a tennis player.
Do you know where I'm going? Vegas, tennis. Who am I thinking about? Who am I thinking about podcast?
Mike Tyson?
He does have a good second serve. The first is a little. No, Andre Agassi. He's the guy that put this city on the map. And he's an innovator, and I've gotten to do something around him with pickleball. But I like to dive into as a documentary subject. I think Andre is fascinating. He's born and bred in Vegas. Remember his Rebel, the Canon, back in the day. Again, dating ourselves, going to YouTube.
Yeah.
It's Andre Agassi,
Get
Canon,
down in the hole.
Rebel. I mean, but growing up in New York, I was wearing black socks because he wore black socks at one point in his career. The pink tennis racket, the denim shorts. I was a kid. I played on the New York City Parks Department. Hard courts. Marine Park, Brooklyn, Flatbush. Where are you, Flatbush? You out there? No, Flatbush, Brooklyn.
Now you're just saying some gibberish.
Nobody knows.
No one knows.
No, that's
it's
great.
South end of Brooklyn. So I think and then who he's married to. 23-time Grand Slam champion, Stephanie Graf.
That's amazing.
He's a really cool dude. I like to find out more, and I think he's
there. It is. It's in the Pursue Vegas podcast universe.
He's got a great autobiography. It was called Open. I read that years ago. It's probably about 10 years old. That book is probably 10 years old. That's a good book. opened by Andre. So yeah, that's and there's so many other people in this city. It's just it's a bunch of characters. I did something with Murray the Magician. He's well known on the Strip. He used to perform at the Tropicana.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But now the Tropicana doesn't,
I did bump into him on my friend Lana's.
Can't miss the hair, right?
Yeah.
Murray, great hair, baby. Let's
he
talk
was on
about
Lana's show, and then I bumped into him because I came on her show, and then he lives by my friend John, which is like a really small world because now that you mentioned you're a tennis guy, I took tennis lessons from Marty, and he was like, you don't know under whatever.
Oh, and Marty. I think I played with Marty.
Yeah,
I know who this Marty.
Marty was my coach.
I know Marty. We played at the...
Look at me, I'm so athletic.
Did you go to that...
I was at Sterling Club.
That's I know Marty there. Yeah,
cool.
I've been there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I remember him saying, he was like, oh, I used to coach, whatever. And I was like, I don't know who that is. He was like, what?
He said Andre, you didn't know who that was?
I was like, dude, look.
Andre Agassi? You never heard of him?
I had to take tennis
8-time Grand
lessons.
Slam.
Hold on. She does not know very many pop
Sports.
culture
I'm
things
not a pop
at
culture.
all.
I'm a little
Real
uncultured
estate.
swine.
She's making too much money to pop
I
culture.
like data, okay?
Yeah.
But anyways, but that's what he was saying. He was like, hey, come out, like all these. And he was like, why are you taking tennis lessons? And at that time, and I was like, because pickleball's like getting huge. And I'm like, I want to take tennis because it's harder and I'm going to go kick ass on the pickleball.
Yeah.
So I haven't played pickleball.
There's a great book out there. I'll drop a little, and I first heard about this book. People in Vegas will know this person now is Pete Carroll, the new head coach of the Vegas Raiders. And he's at USC at the time. So it's the early aughts. He left the Patriots, I believe. He went to college for a while at USC. He was with the Jets, that other football team in New York.
You're like the other
I'm a
one.
suffering Giants fan here, but yeah.
He was like the other one.
That other team. But he couldn't really break through to this one linebacker and what he wanted to, just to get him dialed in. And he gave him this great book. It's called The Inner Game of Tennis. And it just teaches you how to think differently about life and how we learn certain things. One of the things was and I don't think this got into Pete's philosophy, but I love to talk to him about this book because I remember it was 2005 and I saw it on ESPN. It was a feature about the inner game of tennis, this book. Almost books are making a big thing now. You look at the Eagles, the wide receiver, he's reading a book on the sideline during the Super Bowl. I mean, he'd been doing it all year, but it teaches you when you want to teach someone how to do something. I remember the one thing about the book is you don't want to give them instruction on how to do it. You don't have to get behind them and this is how you hit your forehand and come out. It's how do you envision what a good forehand looks like? Can you imagine what a good forehand looks like? And now, do you have the process to put it together? And he found that the learning curve, if you envision what something looks like and the modality that goes into translating it from, hand-eye coordination to mind all in a quick second, it's the repetition, but it's what does something look like? And I think that's a good analogy for anything in life. It's what does success look like? What is, being on top of the data world or killing, the podcast community? It's not maybe reading books or whatever, which are good, but, it's...
Well, it is part of that. Now, I do want to speak to the book thing because this happens in pop culture very seldomly. And it's perfect that you brought that up from him reading the book on the sidelines. I've made this joke multiple times. I have a T-shirt. I'll probably start wearing it more often again.
Okay.
It says Alchemist on it, right? Book The Alchemist.
You wore it to yoga.
I did wear it to yoga. Yeah. What's interesting is I've had people stop me and they'll come over and be like, oh my gosh, have you read The Alchemist?
Right.
And what's interesting about you talking about a sports celebrity reading books on the sideline, there's no way that you can tell what books are on my shelf right now without visually seeing my bookshelf. You would never know what I'm reading.
Yeah.
When I put it on a T-shirt, it's almost like a jersey. There's no jersey for the books that we read. But when you start to create that connection, that's the little game for me. But you mentioned this podcast.
Yeah.
I was in deep concentration and thinking about this when I shot the original series of Pursue Vegas 4 years ago. Post-pandemic, we shot 5 episodes of just trying to capture the restaurant scene, the art scene, the entrepreneur scene as what was going on. I didn't realize, but I did know that it was going to be something that was for a media platform that was getting stronger. I didn't know that it was podcasts, but in a way, like we're not here by mistake, right? So there is that opportunity to really get deep in that. I would challenge you that if you don't wake up every morning like sitting with Andre Agassi, it's not going to happen.
Right.
But it starts with saying, this is what I would love to do. And then it's like you really get deep inside of that. So that's why I joke. This is a manifest. We're calling people out here. It's like I've called many people out, like Pasquale from EDC. I would love to have you on the show, my friend.
Come on, Pasquale. It's not that bad. It's really easy. You sit down.
I mean, it's only the largest.
Yeah.
It's only the largest music festival in North America.
Heard of it.
Yeah, what is it?
Something right.
EDC, Everyday Carry.
No.
It's your Everyday Carry.
Yeah. Pasquale, don't be so scared. Come on.
Yeah,
it's
come
good.
on,
Might have to watch the
I
Asian
want the
lady,
seat
but-
for you. It's great.
Watch. It's funny because he's getting tennis lessons right now from Andre Agassi.
Oh my God.
when they're just laughing.
Andre's day rate for it?
right.
You talk about day rates, working freelance and everything. It's like when, maybe you won that like at a silent auction,
Well,
50 grand for an hour with Andre.
I don't know if you've thought of this, and this is just like on the spot, like advice. You can take it or leave it.
Oh, I hate giving advice.
Here's what I've learned. Here's what I've learned for some of the larger people, like bigger stars and stuff like that. It's never just going to them or approaching them or even going up the traditional chain. Figure out what a cause is that he might care about. If there's any kind of nonprofit cause or any of that stuff, and just offer to shoot a mini series or a mini film about that to get it more visibility, and that may be a kind of a side door. I don't know.
No, yeah, you have to, it's always great getting...
How to stalk without stalking.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a book?
Yeah.
Wait,
I should write one though.
and if it is a book...
It's an ebook.
Going back to Dave's thing, do I want to put that on a T-shirt?
Yeah,
How to
right.
stalk
Elsie
without
go out saying
stalking.
The Alchemist. I don't know if I want to put that T-shirt on. That might be. But going back to that T-shirt, I love that because what you were saying is like just by looking at me, you don't know what's on my mantle or on the Berlin Library.
Exactly.
I'm still trying to get that card. The key. It won't work. The fob.
Yeah, no. Well,
we'll
that's
figure
the
that
veteran.
out.
It's the Veteran Entrepreneur Library located at Nevada Partners.
There you go. But no, that's it. I just still love that. I'm gonna have to start doing that. Like just making a shirt.
It started with a good friend of mine who she helped on the first original series of the show Pursue Vegas.
What's her name?
Her name's Michaela.
Okay.
And Michaela actually she used to work with a phenomenal author, Simon Sinek.
Oh yeah.
She was the tour
The Y
manager.
guy.
Yeah, she was tour manager for
guy.
that.
The Infinite Games
and
guy.
I was doing some work with them. I was actually helping facilitate the Y Discovery course for veterans online.
Okay.
And I had this idea. I was like, so I had made a T-shirt that said "Find Your Why." I did it in Nike font because there's something about that font that just grabs you. And I put the little Simon Sinek flame on the logo. I did a full photo shoot with Josh Line, friend of the show, and I sent it to them as, hey, this is. And I wore it out in town first as like a social experiment. Literally, people would walk across a casino to walk over and be like, hey, is that the TED Talk guy?
Smart.
And I was like, so then I sent it to the team at Simon Sinek, and I got my very first cease and desist letter. And it was my very first
waiting.
cease and desist letter.
Ooh.
But
Put that on the refrigerator, I would imagine.
no, this is great. Here's what happened. The director of brand experience, Stephen Shedd, who's a good friend of mine now, he actually pulled me aside virtually, and he's like, it was like a wink, wink, He goes, hey, we have to tell you to please
stop doing this, wink.
please take the logo off.
Just the flame?
Just take the flame off. And I was like, why? And he said, you can't copyright a book title in the same way.
Sure.
So that's kind of free game, but it was take the flame off. And I was like, okay. So I immediately took the flame off.
Boom.
And it's been a fun thing ever since. So and to the point of the Alchemist one, I was in Austin, Texas. I got on an elevator, and you can always tell when people get it.
Right.
But like again, you just won't see this anywhere else. Like you could see somebody in an Eagles jersey, you could see somebody in a Kansas City jersey,
right.
And you could be on the other side of the world and see somebody with a Las Vegas Golden Knights jersey, and like you have a connection there, or you have resistance, and you might walk past like your life partner,
Yeah.
and never speak to them because they're wearing a different jersey, but there's no jersey for the books that we read. And that kid in Austin, he got on the elevator, and you could tell he was very anxious, and he just goes, "Have you read the book?" And I just go, "What if I told you I read the book and I made this shirt just to find other people who've read the book?"
It's
and
a good
he's just
social
like,
experiment.
his
Right.
mind explodes.
Well, I feel like what you're going into is what Tony talked about. What is it? Combustions, spontaneous. I'm really making.
Wait,
myself
which
look-
Tony?
Tony Shea.
Oh, gotcha.
He has that. I know someone saying, "Dummy, it's this. It's spontaneous. It's."
Are you talking about?
It's when you meet people on the street.
It's not combustion.
He had a term for it.
Yeah, it's collision points.
Yeah.
Collision points. Yeah, it
Yeah.
creates that collision.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, for you're like, oh, wait a
Right.
minute. There's an association here.
Right, but you're just meeting people. And that's what's
Yeah.
great about downtowns. You know, the West Side is great. We love it, but it's more of a bedroom community. And, you know, you have to, you know, be out. And then you have to be more, if you want to talk to someone or if you see, you know, someone wearing your favorite jersey. Shout out UConn Huskies alum. 2-time national defending champions. Having a rough year this year. I think we'll get back into it, but really, I digress. This is not the college basketball podcast. Dan Hurley, best coach in America.
You take your talk
Really?
shit
The
talk
Huskies.
elsewhere.
Come on, we're nice people. Stores, Connecticut. But anyway, it's something about downtown.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
just going back to my point earlier. It's just, you know, I love hanging out places downtown like Vesta and
Yeah.
Bungalow. And my friends own the Good Wolf, and sometimes this, which is a lifestyle shop, and you know, and they sell clothes and home goods and all this great stuff, and it's expertly curated. But it's these little places where you know, Vinny that owns the Good Pie. He's a Brooklyn guy.
Yeah, Vinny's a friend of the show. We've got him. Yeah,
Vinny's been on the show.
No, he's a friend of the show.
Friend, what does
He's
that
queued
mean?
up.
On the show.
He's queued up.
So
we'll get him on.
Is he like on a donor list or
No, it's
something?
actually
He hasn't
funny.
reached a
Like I
certain-
work with so on a totally different life that I have around the world of pizza. He's in
The tangent.
He's in the same network as one of we have a group of friend clients. Yeah.
I'm gonna manifest that he brings us pizza.
Oh yeah.
Oh, if Vinny comes on the show,
Yeah.
Vinny, if you come on the show, it's like,
I'm gonna send a script directly to him.
yeah, Vinny, bring the pizza.
Yeah.
It's dough, it's flour,
Yeah.
it's artisanal cheese. I know it's expensive, but really, it's you are getting the best flour.
Literally at Good Pie yesterday.
Good stuff. Good pie is good stuff.
Yeah.
We just make a
good pie, good stuff.
Good
No,
times.
as we hint towards that, I will say this, and this is what's fascinating. I have not seen this anywhere, and I'm close with the World Pizza Champions, which are more than 75 world competitive pizzeria owners from around the world that have been hand selected because they are good people. I have yet to find any other people on the planet in the United States where at least 5 people at Good Pie have the tattoo of the logo on their bodies. That is a company culture anomaly that I've yet to see, and that's where I'm really interested.
So they have the Good Pie employees have.
Yeah, they have the logo tattooed on them, so that creates a very compelling culture that I'm just like, I cannot wait.
Isn't this pizza thing coming up in Vegas?
It
Don't
is.
They have the.
It is the
in
Pizza
March?
Expo. Yep.
Yeah. What is
No,
that?
Dave,
Mid-March?
We're gonna
getting
need your help
matching
for that.
tattoos.
That's the
Yeah.
secret.
My stomach help,
No,
my eye
I
help.
need your
Both.
video help.
Both.
Yeah,
Both.
we're shooting a
One before
documentary.
the other.
Are you?
Yeah, I might need your help.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know. I have very high standards when it comes to pizza.
Well,
Being a New York City kid.
Good. I imagine you do.
I know
right there
Dave
with you.
Portnoy, that whole thing. Yeah.
You know
Half
what?
the stuff is
I'll be
suspect.
next to you,
Very
judging with
sus.
you.
We need to make you the Dave Portnoy of Las Vegas, and we're just gonna go try all the pizza.
Right when he says that, I was like, no, we're not getting matching tattoos.
Yeah, I got
well,
this.
how
Talking
do you
about
know?
pizza. There's this new place in Summerlin.
Okay.
Solamente. Have you heard about it? Hopefully I'm saying it right.
I think
It
so.
looks really.
Where's that one at?
So, it's like
Somewhere?
west.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's also Rebellion Pizza. There's like 5 places that I gotta try. Familia Pizza.
Another good one downtown, which you really wouldn't think of. Now, I recommend going to their backside where they have the oven, is Pizza Rock.
Oh yeah, Pizza Rock is the OG.
Right, but the slice is good.
Yeah.
I like the slice. But if you want to step it up a notch, you go to the there's a whole, is it a pizzeola? You
Yeah.
know, you got to get the, you
Yeah.
know, it's DOC. It's
So-
DOP. It's you know, you come from Naples and they give
Yeah.
you a certificate
Yeah.
that you're, you know,
Yeah.
certified to make Neapolitan pizza, which is for those non-Italians out there.
Yeah.
It's the slice, and then the square is Sicilian.
Yeah, Tony was the founder of the World Pizza Champions.
Was he?
And yeah, so I actually know Tony very well, and he's part of the whole world of pizza that most people
You
don't
guys are
know.
making me hungry.
Yeah,
right. I have cousins that actually own they started with their dad, who immigrated here, married my mom's first cousin from Sicily in the 1960s, and they settled in Charlottesville, Virginia, where UVA is. It's an amazing city. And now one of his sons has taken over the pizza shop. So I've been around pizza and how it's made and what it's, even though I don't. There's also a guy out of New York I got to connect you with.
Let's do it.
The pizza, like he helps pizza shops get up and going.
Okay.
And he's been like to Tokyo.
Is he here?
No, he's New York based, but he'll probably be here for the championship.
Oh yeah.
So we'll put that on.
I got some people to intro you.
Yeah, you
Let's
have your
do it.
people built them up.
Yeah.
If there's pizza, I'm there.
Yeah, I get 40%.
What's your favorite topping? Are you a toppings person?
If you say
I'm-
pineapple, we're shutting it down.
Shut it down.
This is the end of the show when I get
Color bars
canceled.
go up on the podcast.
I'm basic, just some good mozzarella, some basil, good sauce.
I'm the same way.
I don't need much.
I want
a
a
little bit of olive oil,
red
little salt,
pepper, crushed
Little
pepper.
salt.
a little good salt.
Yeah.
good
I'm the
flaky
same
salt.
way. I mean, we
I
could
judge
talk
it by the
forever on this, but I'll
crust.
make it really short. It's just like, you see all these crazy,
Simple is good.
I want to taste the crust. I want to taste the cheese. I want to taste the sauce. I don't want, and then bring in the, then on second visit, I will then go into the mushrooms or.
Have you done double zero pie in Chinatown?
Oh, I know about it.
Okay.
Sounds like a drug.
Yeah, Erica.
Yeah.
Have you done double zero pie?
zero.
Erica, friend of the show, we did have her on.
Okay.
So
She owns it, Erica?
she's the GM. So
Okay, Erica, I'll stop by.
Yep.
Check it out.
We'll stop by. What are you talking
We'll
about?
stop by.
Let's
What
do
about
it.
me, fucker? What the?
So with that, as we start to wrap here,
Yeah.
where can people find you? Where can people learn more about what you're doing and get involved?
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I guess my website's the first thing would be Hot Fuss Films, HOTFUSSFILMS.net. It's funny, I actually own the .com, but I don't know how to bring it over. So maybe someone, and I built up so much brand equity on the net side.
Oh, nice.
But I felt I actually own the .com version, so I should probably.
Well, you got to get that
over.
.Vegas, bro. You got to get the .Vegas.
Gotta move the DNS over.
Vegas. And then IG, I'm really active on Instagram, so it's my name, Brian J. Schulz. SCHULZ.
No T.
No T. Like Charles M. Schulz without the trust fund.
Okay, gotcha.
Charles M. Schulz Peanuts. Snoopy.
Without the trust fund.
Without
the
the
trust
trust fund. I barely got here on my bike.
Yeah.
From downtown.
Yeah.
It's like 6 miles.
Yeah, you biked here?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I was like, whoa.
I did a lot of biking when I was in New York, going over the Manhattan Bridge and the Williamsburg Bridge.
Yeah.
There was some incline there. I like biking out here though. Red Rocks. That's biking's a great way to, obviously concentrate.
I'm curious. Have you done the bike group that goes through?
Tall bike.
Yeah, is that?
Yeah, on Wednesdays.
Yeah,
I've done that.
I would love to
occasionally.
get those guys. Whoever figured that place or that
You should
group out.
interview him on his tall bike.
Well, yeah, we could just do like a little ride along, right?
Oh.
Throw the boombox on the back.
You are a big boombox guy.
I am a boombox guy.
I will drive by and hit you with my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to give a shout out to you. Great job with all the veteran stuff you do. I know you're a veteran, so I want to thank you for your previous service and what you're doing now for the veterans community. It's amazing. So
We might need a documentary on that as well.
Yeah.
So.
And Tawny with all your data and everything. It's just like it's like I'm going into like a florist and all this data. Like, what data do you want, Brian? Go into Tawny, I can set you up with this type of data, or do you want long-stem Peruvian data?
Yeah.
It's like what do you want to get into? What are we selling? What's some good data these
now I
days?
sound like a drug dealer.
Yeah.
What kind of data you got?
We had that conversation. I was like, I just want it to look cool and get out. And she's like, but there's all the analytics, and I'm like,
Vegas, let me tell you, Tony's got the best data going. Pizza and data. Done.
pizza data
On a date.
Yeah.
Pizza, data on a date. I don't know what you're going to get. You might get some interesting people on that.
I bet we would.
In book jerseys.
Yeah, in book jerseys.
Oh my
Bring it all
god.
we're bringing it all together.
My only favorite shirt that I make a lot of friends in, it's big uterus energy.
Oh,
So when I wear
very-
that, I'm just a magnet
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
other big uteruses.
Yeah, that was on our first encounter that we met in a public place, by the way. A very
Yeah.
public place. We were a Thai, and she
he
just
was
rolls in,
Yeah.
big uterus energy, and I'm like,
Were you a biology major in college?
I was a biochem dropout when I was 13.
I was a physical therapy major, and I couldn't handle
shout
science.
out to my Asian parents. Woo!
Are you good at science?
I
got weeded out big time. University of Connecticut, 1992. Those could be a physical therapist. My mom was a dietitian, worked in renal and people with diabetes and all that. She was telling me like, "Hey, Brian, what do you want to do with your life?" Like, I'm like 18. Like, what are you thinking about? Going to college? You know, I'm living from New York City, going up to 3 hours north in a cow town of Storrs, Connecticut. She goes, "How about physical therapy? You know, the boomers, everybody's getting older." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And then took some chemistry classes. I'm like,
oh god,
you had to have a routine.
That class like wrecked me.
You had to have a routine. Going back to routine, you had
it's
to
not the same as doing drugs when
Right.
you were trying to make drugs.
Breaking Bad, but you had to put the 4 hours in, and you're in college, and you want to drink and have good times. But that goes back to the routine thing.
Yeah.
The kids that did really well with it, they put their 4 hours of studying all the
Or
prerequisites.
a lot of Adderall.
Oh, was that before Adderall? Was back in the early 90s?
That was during my time.
All this stuff's been around. It just has different names.
Yeah, right.
Just repackaging it.
All right.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thanks for coming on the show, my
Thank
friend.
you guys. It's been a pleasure.
This has been great. And then we've got to get something going. I'm sure
The
there's
next
all
time
kinds of
sit
stuff we can
down
get
is
into.
with pizza.
With pizza.
That's my
Season 4.
manifestation.
Right
I'm
back
down.
in season 4.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
Season
Let
4.
it breathe a little
Yeah,
bit.
it'll happen,
Let it
and then
breathe.
eventually let the comments roll in. Guys, if you're liking the show and liking these two great people,
Should we start an OnlyFans?
Yeah.
It's just for you though.
All right.
Only
Thank you
data.
to our 4 followers. You're incredible.
4, come on, 40.
It's so funny. Well, guys, that's it for us today. You know how to find Dave and I, pursue.vegas. Slide into our DMs, inquiry page. I know how that works now. I didn't know how that works before.
Wait, you're the data person.
I know. I didn't set
What's
it up.
going on?
We're still Frankensteining
Please
it.
slide into Brian's DMs. He's very active on Instagram.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. We're going to grab pizza, so if you want to join us, please let us know.
Come on out.
We're going to make like a group outing, some sort of thing. Yeah?
Yeah, let's
if
do
we can
it.
connect you with anybody in this town, don't hesitate. I was like, feel free to hesitate.
Click the button.
Click the buttons, click up, down, sideways. I don't know.
You guys are great.
Boom.
Boom.
The idea of Pursue Vegas was to really highlight the local people that really make Vegas Vegas.
I love that aspect of how these visionaries are actually bringing people together.
When we hit record, our responsibility is to connect the people of our city so we can show the world who we really are.